Okay, here we go. So we're talking about the Pythagorean Theorem, okay? And the Pythagorean Theorem refers to a right triangle, okay? So can somebody unpause themselves and just remind us what a right triangle is? What's a right triangle? Alec, I'm looking at you.
Triangle with a right angle.
Yeah, that's it. It's a triangle with a right angle, right? So for the Pythagorean Theorem, we're talking about a right triangle. And what this theorem states, and this is our right triangle sign, what this theorem states is that the actual theorem is, here, let me write this down, is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. And what that's referring to is the length of the sides, okay? So you have a couple different things on the triangle, okay? You have two legs, so this is called a leg, and I would write this down somewhere. That's a leg, this is a leg, and the longest part of the triangle is called the hypotenuse. H-Y-P-O-T-E-N-U-S-E, hypotenuse. So that longest part, that longest side of the triangle is called the hypotenuse, okay? So in this kind of thing that we're talking about, the Pythagorean Theorem, we're talking about a squared plus b squared equals c squared. And when we're talking about this, the legs are going to be the a and the b. So this is going to be an a, this is going to be a b, that's not a very good b, that's going to be a b, and this is going to be a c, okay? So what we're talking about side lengths, and so we're talking about this side length squared plus this side length squared is always going to equal this side length squared in a right triangle, okay? I'm going to give you a minute to get this written down. This is the Pythagorean Theorem right here. Pythagorean Theorem, I'm going to leave that up there. I'll just give you a minute to kind of write that down. And I'll write, I'm going to just kind of write how it's spelled down here. So it's the Pythagorean Theorem. Okay, Pythagorean Theorem. And actually, there's an A at the end of that. Sorry about that. Pythagorean Theorem. Okay, so you have your triangle. You have a squared, b squared, and c squared. C is always going to be the hypotenuse. The hypotenuse is always going to be that longest edge. Okay, so let's take a look at what this actually means when we're talking about math. I'm going to put something else up here. So we're talking, again, about the Pythagorean Theorem. It refers to triangles that have different side lengths. So let's say, for example, we have a triangle. We have this triangle. And can anybody unpause themselves? Tell me what kind of triangle we use the Pythagorean Theorem with. What kind of triangles can we use this with?
A triangle with a 90-degree angle.
Yeah, it's got to have a 90-degree angle. So keep that in mind as we're going through this stuff. So there's my 90-degree angle. Okay, so I have my leg right here. So this is the leg, this is the leg, this is the hypotenuse. The longest side is always going to be the hypotenuse. I'll just do an H right there. Okay. All right. So here's how this works. So let's say we're given this right triangle. We know it's a right triangle. It's got that thing right there. And we are given that this side length is 6 and this side length is 8. Okay. So when you're doing this, it doesn't matter which one is A and which one is B. The only one really matters is C. Okay. Because A and B are kind of interchangeable. Because if you do 8 squared plus 6 squared, it's the same thing as doing 6 squared plus 8 squared. That's the same. Just make sure your hypotenuse is going to be the C, okay? So let's take a look at this. So let's say that this is A and this is B, and let's kind of fill this stuff in. So we have 8 squared plus 6 squared equals C squared, okay? So what we've done is we've kind of just kind of filled in the start of this. Now I'm going to go through and take this just a little bit further and solve for these squared. So 8 squared is going to give me 64. 6 squared is going to give me 36. C squared is what I'm trying to figure out. That's the only thing in this triangle that I don't know. So it's C squared. Okay, so now I'm going to go to the next step, and the next step is to add what we have here. And if you add 64 and 36, you're going to get 100. So 100 equals c squared. Now this is the part that I think this is probably the most, confusing part, or the part that kind of gets people the most. We're not done, because we don't want c squared. We want c. That's what we want to figure out. So in order to find c, what we have to do is take the square root of both sides. And in doing that, we're going to get c, and we're going to get, if we take the square root of 100, so the square root, this breaks down to c, this breaks down to 10. Okay, so this hypotenuse is going to be 10. And then we can kind of check our work. So let's check and see. Is a squared plus b squared equal to c squared? Well, this and this squared is 100, and this squared is 100, so I know that my c squared is correct on that one. Okay. Any questions before we do a couple examples? Okay, I want you guys to do, I'm gonna put 2 up here, and I'm gonna give you just like a minute or 2 to try them on your own, and then we're gonna do them together, okay? So the first one I would like you guys to try, let's try, so here's a right triangle, and this right triangle has side lengths 3 and 7. And we're going to be using a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Here's my c. I don't know what that is. That's your first problem. Okay, so I want to do that first. The second problem that I'd like you guys to try, and we'll just separate this with a little squiggly. The second problem that I'd like you to try is the following. Now this one's going to be a little bit different, and I'm not going to tell you how to do it. I want you guys to just kind of see if you can figure it out. Okay, so we have let's say we have a right triangle going this way, where this is the right angle, and this time I'm going to give you that the hypotenuse is 9, and I'm going to give you one of the legs is 5. You still need to use a squared plus b squared equals c squared, except you're going to need to put your hypotenuse in here, your side length in here, and then you're going to need to solve it that way. So what you'll end up needing to do is, if you put in your 5 here, 5 squared is 25, you're going to need to subtract that from this side and then solve for b squared. Okay, so let's just do these one at a time. I'm going to give you about 3 or 4 minutes, and then if you have questions, just let me know. I'm going to go over these in about 1 more minute with you guys. Okay. Anybody need a little more time? Happy to give you another 2 minutes if you need. You just got to tell me. Okay. Let's go over these. And remember, we're just kind of starting out. If you're not getting it, it's okay. You'll get this stuff. Okay, so we're always going to be given like two sides. Okay, so using this Pythagorean theorem, a squared plus b squared equals c squared, I know that this squared plus this squared has to equal that squared when we're talking about side lengths. Okay, so here we go. So we're going to take 3 squared, which is 9. Okay, we're going to take 7 squared, which is 49, and we're going to make it equal to c squared. I'm going to add these up. And when I add these, what I get, am I doing this right? 7 times 7 is 49. 3 times 3 is 9. 9 times 49, 9 plus 49 is going to give me 58. So I get 58 equals c squared. Now, in the book, my guess was that these will equal out. I just made these up in my brain, which is, we all know how that works out. But the way that you would solve this, now I have a number equals c squared. The way we get out of this and get c by itself is by taking the square root, okay? So I'm gonna take the square root of this, and what I get is c, and I'm gonna take the square root of this. And I'm just gonna leave it as a square root of 58 as my answer, okay? You guys can solve it down, but really that's gonna be the square root of 58, which there's no perfect square for that. So for now, this is fine. If you have a calculator and you solved it, that's fine too. All right, now on the next one, it's a little bit different, okay? On this one, we're talking about something a little bit different. We have one leg and then we have the hypotenuse. So we have one of these, we're missing another one of these, and we have this here. So we filled it in like this. So we have 5 squared, which is gonna give us 25, plus b squared. Actually, I'm gonna make this a little bit bigger. I'm going to do this up here to make it a little bit bigger. It's hard working on this like little kid's whiteboard. Okay, so we have 5 squared plus b squared equals 9 squared. Okay, so we have 25 plus b squared equals 81. So my next step is going to be to kind of bring my numbers together. Okay, so I'm going to solve here, minus 25, and solve here, minus 25. What I'm then left with is b is equal to, let's see, 11 minus 6, 11 minus 5 is 6, which is 56. Okay, so I have b squared is equal to 56. The way I find out what b is, again, when you have that b squared, the way to get that, to isolate that variable and make it just b is to take the square root. I square root this side, I square root this side, and there's no perfect square to 56. So b is going to be the square root of 56. Okay, questions on that? Questions on how I did that, why I did that, any of that stuff? Questions? Okay, I want to show you a quick little example that I want to do one more example kind of together. So I'm going to share my screen for a minute here. Okay, I want to do this example. Okay, so this is a right triangle. We can tell that it's a right triangle. We have 2 of the legs and we're missing the hypotenuse. I want you guys to find that missing hypotenuse and don't forget to label it in terms of centimeters, okay? So take like, let's take like 2 minutes and do this, and I will be right back with you. And if you have questions, please ask. Take about another minute or so to do this one. Okay, can someone help me out here? Just unpause yourself or raise your hand, or I want you guys to tell me what to do and how you would solve a problem like this. But I need someone to raise their hand. Anyone? Bueller.
Didn't you just set it up normally?
You'd set it up normally. So tell me pretend like you're in charge of my hand. What do I do?
8 squared plus 15 squared equals c squared.
Good. Okay. What's my next step, Alec?
Find what 8 squared is.
Which is?
64.
Plus?
This what 15 squared is, which is 225.
Good. Okay. What's going to be your next step here?
You add those two together. You add what 8 squared is plus what 15 squared is.
Okay. What are you going to get?
To 289.
So 289 equals c squared. And this is the last step. What do we do?
You square root 289.
And what'd you get for that?
I haven't got to the square root of 289.
17.
Good.
17.
Great. 17. So remember, we're not saying that 8 plus 15 equals 17. That's not what we're saying. We're saying that 8 squared plus 15 squared equals 17 squared. Okay. So the answer on this one is that this side is going to be 7 centimeters. These are all centimeters. Okay. Questions, please raise your hand if you have questions, guys. Okay. No one's raising their hand, so I'm going to assume that you guys are good on this so far. Okay, let's try one more, and then we're going to get into the classwork for today. So you guys should be looking at my screen. I'm just going through this real quick. This is the work. 289 equals c squared. C equals 17. Okay. Okay, let's move on. We're going to do one more example, example 3. Okay, Mara is repairing the trim on one side of a display case sketched. She has a piece of trim that is 20 inches long. Does she have enough trim to repair the display case? Okay, give this one a shot. Give this one a shot. Now be careful because you only have one of the legs and the hypotenuse in this one. So do your calculations carefully. Okay, let's take a look at this one. Somebody besides Alec. I've heard from Alec and Ben. I need to hear from other people too. Somebody unmute themselves and give me some help on this. Somebody's going to have to do it. Be brave. Someone's going to have to do it, guys. I'm waiting for you. Okay, I guess I'm gonna call on someone. Nobody's gonna volunteer. Let's see who's looking like they're ready to do some math here. How about Bella? Haven't heard from you. Help me out on this one. What do we do?
I got, so first I changed 20.
Okay.
So I did 20 times 20.
Okay.
And I did the same with 29.
Okay.
And so I got 400 plus b squared equals 841.
Perfect. 400 plus b squared equals 841. Okay, what's our next step?
Then I subtracted 400 on both sides.
Can you guys see what I'm doing on the whiteboard? I can't tell.
Yes.
Okay. Subtract 400 on both sides, minus 400, minus 400. Very nice. Okay.
And then I got b squared equals 441. And then I got the square root and got b equals 21.
Perfect. Perfect. Okay. Very nicely done. Very nicely done. Okay. I want you guys to just raise your hand if you got that. I just want to know who got that. Raise your hand if you got that. Good. Good. All right. Okay, so what Belle said is she knew that she got, she knows that it's a squared plus b squared equals c squared, and that this is the hypotenuse. She sees that this is the longest side. This is the hypotenuse. It gives us this and it gives us this. So she did 20 squared plus b squared, which we don't know, equals 841, which is 400 plus b squared. She minus 400 on both sides. She got b squared equals 441. Down here, she took the square root of both sides, and she got that b is equal to 21. She needs a 21-inch piece. She has a 20-inch piece. Therefore, she does not have enough to fix the display case. Okay? Good job on that one. Okay, so here's what we're going to do for class/homework. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Okay. I'd like to do, you guys should have your books, and I will post this assignment. I want to do page 384, numbers 4 through, let's do 4 through 10. So it's not that much work, 4 through 10, but that'll kind of give me an idea of what you know, okay? Yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to stay here till 10:30 or so. If you need help, I'm here to help. We'll correct this tomorrow. So again, here, I'll share my screen right now with you guys. I shouldn't have stopped. Okay, so let's go to classroom real quick here. We're in algebra readiness. What I'm going to do, let's see. I don't know if I want to do it as an assignment. Okay, let's do page 384 through 385, numbers 4 through 10. This is going to be 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We're going to make this a 7-point graded assignment. This is going to be due tomorrow. I'm just kind of showing you this so we're all on the same page, and if you have questions, you can ask. Okay, so this is going to be due Thursday the 26th by 9:30. Okay, and that's AM, not PM. Okay, make sure that you are that you've turned this in by that time. We'll correct it afterwards. Otherwise, it's going to show up as missing for you, and we're trying to avoid that. So page 384, 385, 4 through 10. This is going to be due tomorrow at 9:30. Let's create that. No, that's not what I want to do. Let's assign that. Boom, there we go. Okay, all right. Test scores were very good, very happy with that. A couple of you I was really proud of came to me and basically said, "Hey, I need help. I want to know what I did wrong." And we went through those in a Zoom meeting. That was great. Okay, so if you ever need help, I'm always here to kind of work with you on what you're not getting. Okay, so for now we have about 15, 20 minutes. If you would rather work with this meeting off, totally fine. If you want to kind of hang out for a little bit, just in case you have questions or you want to check answers or any of that stuff, we will go over it tomorrow. But that's going to be your lesson for today. Okay. All right. And I would kind of use this time to get started on the homework.